everyone. My name is Abigail Madsen. Thank you
Hi.
so much for coming to my presentation. It is called Adaptation, Prey versus Predators. So to begin, I would like to introduce my topic, which is on animal behaviors in the wild, specifically focusing on prey and how they outsmart their predators through evolution and adaptation. To start, the definition of adaptation is the process by which organisms change to better fit their environment. In today's world, adaptation equals survival. The animals that adapt to changes in their environment are more likely to survive. For example, these geese have adapted to changes by migrating to the south when it begins to get cold. By migrating to the south, they're able to leave during the winter, and they can eliminate the option of freezing to death during the winter. Now, adaptation is not just important to animals in the wild, but it is important to society. We as humans are constantly adapting and changing the way that we live. We have adapted to all kinds of different climates, making it possible to live almost anywhere on the earth. Humans have adapted by evolving to grow hair on their bodies that allow us to stay warm. We've also adapted in the sense that we adapt to fit in with new trends, whether that be in food or fashion or travel. Overall, adaptation happens constantly, and being able to recognize it in nature and in society will allow you to gain a better understanding of the world that we live in. Okay, moving on, I'd like to bring it back to the topic of animals, specifically prey in the wild. There are so many different examples of how prey have adapted to challenge and outsmarting their predators. This allows them a better shot at staying alive, and staying alive is key. Okay, so for my first example, I'd like to talk about the California ground squirrel. These are located most commonly throughout the western United States, and these ground squirrels live in close-knit colonies of several dozens in a maze of burrows. The California ground snake is prey to rattlesnakes. The California ground squirrel is prey to rattlesnakes, which are also found all over the western United States. Rattlesnakes have a very strong sense of smell and use their forked tongues to taste the air. These predators can lock onto a squirrel's scent, and when this happens, there is no escape. However, the California ground squirrel has adapted and developed a creative way to stay under the radar. These squirrels have learned to find old shed skins from rattlesnakes, to which they chew up and create a paste. After the paste is made, the squirrels then rub it all over their bodies, masking their own scents with the rattlesnake scent.
Nice.
According to an experiment done by 3 students at the University of California, this tactic really does trick the snakes. Quoted from NewYorkTimes.com, which is a popular news site, it reads, Mrs. Klockoz and 2 colleagues, Donald H. Owens and Matthew P. Rowe, tested the reactions of hungry rattlesnakes to pieces of filter paper with rattlesnake scents alone. Squirrel scents alone, and a combination of the two. The snakes flick their tongues over the squirrel-only scent, but not over the combined scent or the snake-only scent. By doing this, the California ground squirrels are able to mask their scent and roam freely without the risk of being eaten, which makes for an easier life.
I'll say.
Okay, for my next example, I'm going to be talking about zebras. So zebras can be found all over the continent of Africa and are easy to recognize due to the fact that they have little to nowhere to hide, and most importantly, their bold black and white stripes. While these stripes may look like a dead giveaway to predators, they actually help keep zebras alive. Zebras have adapted a unique way to outsmart their predators, which are large cats such as leopards, cheetahs, lions, and hyenas. By staying together in large numbers, zebras use their stripes to confuse their predators. Because zebra stripes are so contrasting, fast movement, especially in large groups, creates something called the motion dazzle effect. And the motion dazzle effect was created by a man named Dr. Martin Howe. He explains this effect among zebras. And quoted online from independent.com, which is a site full of science and news articles, Howe says that this narrow vertical stripes on a zebra's back and neck combined with the wide diagonal stripes on its flank give off unexpected motion signals, which become stronger when a herd moves. When the zebra runs away, they are giving off the illusion of moving backwards, confusing their predators. An example of the motion dazzle effect for humans can be observed with the wagon wheel effect. The wagon wheel effect is an illusion that says the faster something rotates, the more we struggle to process the movement. When we look at the wheels of a car as it speeds by, it looks as if it is moving counterclockwise, even though we know it is not because the car is not driving backwards. This is the same thing for predators as zebras run by. Without their stripes, zebras would be almost defenseless. So for my next example, I'm going to be talking about the regal horned lizard. So these lizards are found in southwest United States and also in Mexico. They have a sneaky way of tricking their prey, which is the coach whip snake. Horned lizards have developed the ability to puff themselves up to appear bigger, but that doesn't always work, so their next move is faking their own deaths. By flopping onto their backs, horned lizards pretend to die to trick their predators. This tactic works because typically snakes are not interested in eating something that is already dead. By playing dead, the regal horned lizard is able to get out of sticky situations and live another day. So to summarize, animals are pretty outstanding. By being able to adapt, these animals I previously mentioned are able to outsmart their predators. Adapting allows animals, along with humans, to grow and mate and then reproduce, fulfilling the circle of life. It is important to recognize and pay attention to examples of adaptation. Stated on nhptv.org, a popular site for learning about nature, it says, "The characteristics that help a species survive in an environment are passed on to future generations. Those characteristics that don't help the species survive slowly disappear." As humans, we can take from this quote and we can learn that we too pass on different characteristics to increase our chances at life. We also learn and hopefully recognize that in the big scheme of things, our lives can be similar to animals in the wild because we are both constantly adapting to changes all around us.
Wow!